What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about my problems with the Libertarian Party. Now, as you guys know from my previous videos, I consider myself a Libertarian. I identify strongly with the movement and what it stands for, but it doesn't mean I think it's perfect. And the statement right there differs me from lots of other people who are supporters of various political parties. They are immune to criticism. Whenever you criticize their movement or their candidate at all, they will defend them to the death, even if it means just making a complete fool of themselves. Like, yeah. Oh, yeah, it says Gary Nelson's sign. You know, so, just because I am a strong libertarian does not mean that I think the movement, the party is perfect. No political party is perfect. Because if it was, like I said in previous videos when I supported Gary Johnson, just because I'm vouching for him doesn't mean I think he's perfect, and nor do I think that he's right on every single issue. The odds of a candidate going out there that agrees with every single issue with me, the chances of that are slim to none, and if I made that a criteria for voting for someone, then I would never vote for anyone, ever. Because there's way too many issues. The fact that I agree with Johnson on, let's say, 95% of the issues, that's good enough for me. I'll accept the 5% that's kind of annoying that I differ with him on, and I'll go ahead and go with him with 95% is pretty damn good. So I'm just going to point out some things I don't like about the Libertarian Party. One, first of all, every party has radical fringes, and libertarianism is none different. It's not immune to this problem. The radical fringe I'm talking about in the Libertarian Party are the anarchists, the anarcho-libertarians, they like to call themselves, where they believe that the best way to achieve liberty is to have anarchy and just be left alone, and people will figure out how to protect their own rights and get along in harmony without government. That's just the most stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Have you ever heard someone that came from a country that descended into anarchy? Have you ever heard someone say, oh yeah, that was a really good time, I really enjoyed living in anarchy in Somalia, or, you know, in some East Asian country, I don't know, Uzbekistan, where the government is not in control a lot of its fringe territories on its borders, you know, so basically people fend for themselves out there, you know, or like these little tribes out in the Amazon, you know, they aren't controlled by the government, and basically they live by themselves. No one says those states are good. Anarchy fucking sucks. I can't believe I have to tell people that. I can't believe there's some people who think that anarchy is a good idea. Anarchy is no way to protect people's civil liberties. That is what libertarianism is all about, is protecting people's civil rights. If a government was hypothetically so damn good that it protected everyone's civil rights, then that would be perfect. That would be a libertarian government, protecting other people's rights and not letting other people infringe on other people's rights. So your right only goes as far as to when it begins to infringe on someone else, that's when it stops. For example, freedom of speech, for example, is you are guaranteed freedom of speech until you cross the line and yell fire in a crowded theater, and that results in the death of someone. You infringe on their right to life by abusing your freedom of speech, so that's why you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. That's one of the only instances where freedom of speech is actually limited. Okay, we're getting way off topic here. I hate anarchists on libertarian forums I talk with. You know, they just think, what's the best way to deal with government? Get rid of it. I'm so edgy, man. I'm so cool. Edgelord 10 out of 10 wrecked. Just, they have the brain of an infant. And they have no idea what they're talking about. Because if they actually experienced anarchy, they would hate it. Anarchy is good for the people who end up on top of the dog pile of the chaos that anarchy ensues. For the people who are this combination of luck and skill, you know, they get the biggest guns, they get the most skilled people, they have the most resources, and they fight everyone else, and they end up on top. They can guarantee their civil rights for themselves. They can protect the civil rights from everyone else because they're the strongest. No one else can infringe on them. But for everyone else who ends up the loser, which the vast majority of people are losers in anarchy, there is no government to protect your rights. If, let's say, a criminal is trying to invade my home, trying to take my right to life and right to property, I can call the police and have the government step in to protect my rights if I can't fend them off myself. You know? That is an instance where government force is necessary to protect my freedom if I can't do it myself. In anarchy, there is no government to call. There is no police to call if your settlement gets overrun by people who are better fighters than you and have more resources. Nope, you're on your own. You're screwed. You know? So just like crony capitalism and socialism, anarchy creates a 1% who has all the power and all the protection, and everyone else is screwed. They think that anarchy will get rid of the hierarchy in society. No, it just changes it. It's just more informal. It's not enforced by laws. It's just whoever has the best guns and the best people. Another thing I don't like about the Libertarian Party is that there's some radical, I wouldn't even say radical, there's a lot of libertarians who aren't really radical much anything else, but they sincerely believe that taxation is theft. Any taxation is theft in their minds. That's like what a kid says to be edgy, you know, to just, they're venting their frustration on taxes, but they go to the extreme, and they don't want to just limit taxes like I would propose. Have the least amount of taxes necessary to fund the government in order for it to do its job, which is protect people's civil liberties. You know, they just want no taxes at all. It's completely retarded. It's like a kid complaining about the rules in the house. He's like, we shouldn't have any rules. I should be able to do whatever I want. No. To maintain a good household, you need rules. Not so many rules that they contradict each other, and no matter what you do, you're going to get in trouble. No, that's like how the government operates now. But you need a certain set of rules to maintain order and to, once again, protect civil liberties, which is what a government is supposed to do. The Founding Fathers were the closest to libertarians that I can think of as far as actual states that existed. Because there's no true libertarian country out there. There's some countries that lean libertarian, you know, like Switzerland, for example. I think it's Switzerland that has like low taxes and doesn't invade other people. I'm pretty sure their taxes. I forget about their taxes, but you know, there's certain aspects of countries that are libertarians, but there's no true libertarian country. So the Founding Fathers, when our country was first invented, was the closest libertarians I can think of, because they believed in small but effective government. They didn't believe in any government. They didn't want to take out the British and to just have anarchy in the U.S. and every person fending for themselves, and you can make up groups how you want, whatever. They didn't want that. And they certainly believed in the government's power to tax. That's one of the few powers they gave the federal government, that the Constitution allows the government to do, is tax people. Now, you may differ on what type of taxes are necessary. Like I was talking with one libertarian, and he's like, well, I'm fine with like sales tax, for example, and tariffs, for example, for the government to, you know, get revenue so it can do its job. But he doesn't believe in income tax. He argued that since he argued that since the U.S. for the vast majority of the time it was created was able to fund its government with a surplus without an income tax. The income tax, I believe, was made in the early 20th century, like 1900s or 1910s. So he doesn't like the income tax, which, okay, I can give you that. If the government can find a way to fund itself and do all the things it's supposed to do, according to the Constitution, without taxing anyone's income, then go ahead. That's fine. That's great. It's more money for people to keep for themselves and put the economy and spend how they see fit. But I looked at the numbers. I didn't crunch them, but I just looked at the numbers just at the overview, and I just don't think there's no way the government can afford to do everything it needs to do just by the Constitution without taxing anyone at all. I don't see that. Maybe in the future, if there's actually a libertarian president and Congress, you may actually get going, you know, and many years from now, it's a possibility. But some people think, no, all taxation is theft. No. Libertarians hate me bring out the social contract. I won't even bring that up because it's not necessary to defend the action of taxation. This country, whether you like it or not, was founded, and the Founding Fathers supported the government's ability to collect taxes. That is what the Constitution allows it to do. And then I was talking with one anarcho-libertarian who's like, well, that just means the Founding Fathers were wrong. And I'm like, you are living in a country, and you are saying that the Founding Fathers of that country were dead wrong. Well, then why the fuck hell are you living in this country? You know, what they want to do, they want to reap the benefits of living in this country without having to pay for any of it. They want other people to pay for it. They want to live out in their farm in Wisconsin, for example, and be totally self-sufficient. And they think, oh, I'm so smart, I'm self-sufficient, I don't need no government to help me. But yet they don't realize that it's the governments whose strong military, for example, stops the Russians from invading and destroying your stupid, pathetic farm. And do you think you're so smart that you can fight the Russians by yourself? They're so naive because they are so smug, they think that they are truly self-sufficient. They benefit from the U.S. military protection and the police, which are funded by taxes. They benefit from the roads, yet they criticize the governments for using tax money to pay for the roads. You know, they use all of these government services, but they think they're really self-sufficient. No, unless you are living in a house where you totally provide your own power through like a generator that you built with all the parts that you didn't buy from China. If you don't use any TV, you know, satellite cable, whatever, you're totally detached from the country. Then I can say, yep, you're self-sufficient. If you want to say, I want anarchy, then go the fuck ahead if you want to do that. You know, these people are just so fucking smug. Roads, that's another thing. People criticize the U.S. government for taking money in to build roads. To which I say, yes, okay, it's easy to complain about the roads around here, especially in Northern Virginia. The roads suck here. It's just something to vent about the potholes and the, you know, they're all not being maintained properly, whatever. But first of all, once again, the Constitution allows the federal government to collect taxes and maintain travel in this country. That was one of the few powers it was allowed to do, was to maintain the roads. That's why I don't have a problem with the government being in control of the roads, because the Constitution allows the government to do that. Now, once again, anarcho-libertarians will say, well, this means the Founding Fathers were wrong. And why the fuck are you living here, man? Why don't you go to fucking the jungles of Brazil where they don't have a constitution, where the government is supposed to build the roads, and then you can see how hard it is to travel the jungle without any roads. And they always come back with, well, companies could build roads. Okay, they could. I'm not saying it's not a possibility that companies or private organizations could build the roads. But the U.S. has one of the best road systems in the entire world that has ever existed, ever in this earth. We have one of the best. Never have more people been connected and can go so fast by car or train, or whatever road you want to talk about. Never in the history. So you're talking about governing competence. The road system is not something to bring up. It's pretty damn efficient. I would like to see a historic example where a non-governmental organization, a private organization, built a road system better than the government did. Because I'm thinking some other road systems are really good. Historically. Roman Empire, their road system, not their empire, was, guess what? Built by the government. The Persian Empire, their road system. Well, guess what? Built by the government. I mean, government is good at very few things, but one of the things they're semi-good at is building road systems. So that's why I'm just like, you want fucking Walmart to build the roads? Why do you want a country mapped the way a fucking Walmart store is mapped? Walmart is the biggest private company in the U.S. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I'm pretty sure they're the number one like private entity employer in the U.S. So you want companies and private individuals to maintain the roads instead of the government. And you see how effective business can be. It can be very effective, don't get me wrong, but it can also not be very effective. Case in point, Walmart. Jesus, I don't want anything else besides Walmart to look like Walmart. Okay, now let's say you don't have a giant company that's maintaining the roads. Let's say you want private individuals to maintain the roads around their certain area, and then everyone does that, and then that's why they're all connected, you know. So person in county A builds his roads, and person in surrounding county B builds his road, and they connect, and that's how they do it. The coordination involved, the coordination that's necessary to be involved in doing that is astronomical. Can you imagine all these people who are not connected by anything besides just they happen to live next to each other? Can you imagine them coordinating enough to build a road system that is as good or better than the one we have in the U.S. right now? No, I don't see that happening. I do not see random Joe Schmo coming up to Mr. John Smith and to building a road system that is better than the one the U.S. government has made. I just don't see that happening. First of all, Americans are fucking retarded. Oh, they're so fucking stupid. And you want them to coordinate to build a road system. Last thing I want to talk about is the environment. There's lots of libertarians who don't care a lot about protecting the environment. They view the environment simply as the resources to be used in the quest for capital. That's all I see it as. And I'm like, yes, that is true to an extent, but you can't pursue that goal so much with so much zealotry, that you damage it so much that you ruin it, and therefore you're not going to get any more resources in the future. Libertarians don't care about protecting the environment because it's not them getting hurt. They want to make their quick buck in the quest for the almighty dollar, because libertarians are all about the market and creating profits. They want to do that, and screw what happens to the environment. I'll be dead before the CO2 level gets so bad that the earth fries. I'll be long dead, but I would make a profit. So that's all they care about, making a quick buck, and then screw the environment. The reason why I differ on that is, one, that's not a smart move. That is not a smart business move to ruin the environment so fast for a quick buck that you make it uninhabitable, or you kill off all these other species in the quest for that. The reason why I want to stand up for the animals is because they can't do it for us. They can't do it themselves. They do not have obviously the technology, the brain power to fight against us humans. They are helpless against us. If we wanted to, we could wipe out every other species in this world without even trying, because we're so smart, so powerful. So it's my natural inclination to help the little guy out against the bully. And the humans do bully the environment, animals and the actual physical environment, for their own benefits. I stand up for the little guy. I was a little guy in school until freshman year of high school when I hit my growth spurt. So I know what it's like to be bullied and be picked on, taken advantage of, and no one does anything about it. That's how the animals are. It's the same reason why I support using violence in self-defense or in defense of other people who can't do it themselves. So if there's a helpless grandma getting beat up, I'm going to step in and fight the guy who's attacking her, even though the guy is doing no threat to me personally whatsoever. I believe that violence is necessary to protect yourself and other people who can't do it, or just other fighters. Let's say there was another guy getting mugged by another guy, and the guy getting mugged was a decent fighter, but he was losing. It's still justified to use violence in that case. So it's sort of the same principle with the environment. The animals and plants can't fight back against the humans. We're too smart and powerful. So you have to put limitations on human interaction with the environment. Otherwise, the humans would just walk all over, destroy it for the quick dollar, and then the earth would be uninhabitable. Well, let's say you don't agree that human action can cause the end of the world, as far as destroying the environment and plants and species and stuff. Never mind the fact that we need bees to survive, we're killing off the bees. Well, let's just hypothetically say you don't believe that. It's just on principle to defend something who can't fight back against the thing that's killing it. And then you're like, well, you think animals and plants are like humans? No, I never said that my principle was just based on humans. It's just a principle in general. Hundreds of thousands of species should not be condemned to die in the quest for the almighty dollar just because we're tougher than they are. That's just such an elitist, smug way of looking at the world. That's like, let's say there's a fire in a building and the old people and children can't get out, and you are young and fit, so you get out, and you're laughing at the other kids and the old people as they burn, saying, "Oh, survival of the fittest, you guys are just too weak, you guys can't do it, you guys aren't going to pass off your weak genes and I am." Just how callous, how self-centered. What a jerk. That's what some libertarians are in concern with the environment. They're just jerks. They don't care that they're destroying the environment. They want their dollar. Making a profit is good, don't get me wrong. That's why I'm a libertarian. Making profit is good. Money cannot hurt you. You can never have enough money. But that doesn't mean you should disregard every other principle in pursuit of that dollar. For example, you could mug someone, take their money, and have more money for you. Now, an anarchist libertarian would look at that and say, well, it's benefiting me, I'm getting more money, so yeah, I don't have a problem with that. My rights not getting violated, and I am making more money, so I support that. But no, you are infringing on that person's right to property because you are stealing their property. Same thing can be said about animals and the environment to an extent. Now, I don't believe they should have all human rights, duh. Come on. But it's the same principle. You cannot disregard every other principle and every other rule and every other situation in the quest for the almighty dollar. So in conclusion, those are the four major things I have a problem with libertarianism. Now, there are some libertarians who agree with me in all those four cases. Taxes, roads, I can't think of the other ones. Or just, okay, let's say anarchy, taxes, roads, environment. Those are the four things that I do not agree with certain libertarians. There are some libertarians that agree with me. For example, Gary Johnson supports the EPA. Now, into what context, I'm not sure. And he doesn't really support the environment that much in other things, which is one of the main beefs I have with him, is the environment. But then again, that's part of the 5% that I don't agree with him on. Other 95% I agree with him on, which is why I voted for him and why I don't have any problem supporting him. That doesn't mean that I will shrug off the problems with libertarianism. Just because I'm part of the ideology doesn't mean that I think it's perfect, and then I won't concede when people say, well, the libertarians are stupid because they think taxation is theft. I'm like, I agree with you. I don't believe that that's a good idea. Unlike other people who don't want to be assigned to any group or be a part of any group, because that means they have to defend when the group does something bad, I don't have a problem being labeled a libertarian and be able to defend libertarian positions even when I don't agree with it. Damn, ran over something. Some people have very strong stances on issues, vote along party lines all the time, yet don't identify as a Democrat or Republican, because that means they would have to defend Democratic positions they don't like. So they take the cheap way out, they take the easy route and say, oh, I don't identify with any political party. Well, you voted Democrat the last 40 fucking years. It's pretty obvious you're a Democrat. You just don't want to man up and say, yeah, I'm a Democrat, because that you're being associated with the negative aspects of that community, of that voting group. You know, for me, it's like, yep, some libertarians have problems. There's some core values of libertarianism that I don't agree with. Like, libertarianism says nothing about the environment. So it's left to your own, each libertarian's, there's up to their viewpoints. They can make their own decision about it because libertarians don't say anything about it. Well, I think it should. So if I had reformed libertarianism, those are the four things I would change about it, and I would call it something different. I don't know. But for the most part, again, 95% of the things I agree with, which is why I identify as libertarianism. That doesn't mean that I have beefs with, doesn't mean that I don't have any problems with it. And I spent a good chunk of my time arguing with other libertarians. I don't spend too much time on it, because a bunch of infighting doesn't help anyone. I just say, okay, we are going to agree to disagree on taxes, for example. Let's work together to take down the two-party system, because that's what is infringing on both of our rights. We'll worry about the taxes later once we get into power, if we ever get into power. Well, nope, this is where we disagree. Let's work together on the issues that we do agree on, which is most of them, and then we'll settle out the differences later.